Hello, John Huldt here, your patron saint of distortion. I don't know. I'm gonna take you through the 60-second guitar solo that I did. I'm using a ton of different techniques, and I stole most of them, so I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm doing, how I'm thinking, and yeah, where I stole it from, basically, because I'm nothing but an elegant thief. Some people call my style original, but it's only because I'm good at stealing from places where people don't expect it. True story. If you're not really well versed in music theory, a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about will make no sense to you whatsoever. Which is cool. You don't really have to worry about it. You can just grab the tab off my Facebook. I will, you know, post a link in here somewhere. So you can just click on it and get it from there. And you know, just follow along with the notes. It's not that hard to play technically, it's a pretty easy solo. But I'm using some fancy tricks and stuff like that. Anyway, so here it is. Go watch the video, just search for 60-second guitar solo John Huldt and you'll find it. The backing track, and I'm going to try to talk as much as I can about how I'm thinking about this and like what my thought process is. The backing track is F sharp minor 7. Goes into G major. It's a Lydian chord basically. G major 7 sharp 11 or something similar. It's a very Lydian sounding chord. Goes back to F sharp, goes to G. Then there's an A with no discernible coloration on it from what I can hear, and then that goes either to G or F sharp. I don't remember, but you know, we'll see when we go with solo. So according to all things diatonic, this would be a Phrygian mode, this would be Lydian, this would be mixed Lydian, and this is all from the parent scale of D major. I ignore that to a certain extent because, you know, whoever made the backing track, Walliman I think his name is, he was kind enough to leave just enough information in the chorus but not too much, so I'm not forced to use a certain scale. I can mess around with it a little bit, and I do. Over the first chord, since it's only F sharp minor 7, I can do whatever I want with it. I can pick basically any minor scale because it only has minor 3rd, not minor 7, which most of the minor scales do. So I'm going sort of bluesy Dorian. First thing I'm playing is this, and again, if you have the tab, this will help you a lot, so I don't have to tell you which finger I'm putting where. So, classic blues stuff. You know, every blues player on the planet plays it. And then I'm stealing a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. If you heard, what's it called? Crossfire. I figured if Stevie Ray could do it, you know, it should be okay that I did. So, all fits very nicely over an F sharp minor 7. Then we'll land over the G. And what I'm doing here is, I really like these kinds of like dissonance within chords, like when you have second intervals really close to each other. But still make it diatonic, so it sounds nice. I'm a big fan of it. I think it comes from playing piano, where these chords are very easy to access. So what I'm doing is this. It's a hammer-on from the G to the A and the D string. I let those two ring over. Then I play an open B string on top of that, because I'm fancy. I'm also chicken picking this. As I pick the first note and then I pluck with my middle and ring finger. Then comes a harmonics lick I stole from Tommy Emanuel. Thank you, Tommy. So basically what this is a cool lick. 5th fret, harmonic on G, 7 on B, 12 on E, then 7 on G, 12 on B, 7 on D, 12 on G. And I'm also chicken picking here. I joined a country band and nothing has been the same since. So I pick the first one, then I pluck with middle ring, then pick, pluck, and by pick I mean using my pick, and pluck I mean using my finger. Then we have another Tommy Emanuel lick. I think he stole it from Chet Atkins, so I don't feel so bad about stealing it from Tommy. but thank you, Tommy. The chord is this. It's a very, very easy but very fancy chord. It's one of those expensive chords that the pros use. It's a funny thing, like there are certain chords that like the professional guitar players, I live in LA so I see this all the time. You know, they're not any harder, they're just fancier. It's like it's like buying at a regular G, you buy this at Walmart, but this, you go to sur la table and you pay a little bit more because it is a little bit nicer. Same shit really, but it's a little nicer. Anyways, this chord is a G major 9 over B. Real easy. Bar 7th fret, put your pinky on the 10th on the A string. There you have it. G major 9 over B. Now you can go to the party and show off to your friends. You're going to be like, what? That's amazing, bro. Anyways, here's how you do it. Now I'm going to hold my pick with my middle finger, which is fantastically awkward. I hate it, but there's no other way of doing it. That's not worse, unless you have a thumb pick. But then I can't do all that other stuff. Anyways. I'm going to play the first 3 notes, just the way they are. Then I'm going to pick, or I'm going to play an artificial harmonic by putting my index finger 12 frets above. 12 frets above the fretted notes, so I'm going to end up on 19. And then I just flick it with my pick, so. Then with my ring finger, I'm going to pluck a G string. Oops. Then I just follow this pattern up. So it's going to be harmonic in A, B string, harmonic in D. E string, and then I follow the harmonics up. I think they call it harp technique or something like that. Fancy. What happens after that? Okay, we're back over F sharp minor. And I know I'm completely rushing through this, but you know, video can only be so long, so feel free to stop and go back and it's like, what the hell is he talking about? I also digress a lot, as you can tell. So what we have here is a F sharp minor 7 lick, and I like to use open strings, so I always look, if I'm over any given chord, I will look to what will the open strings do for this chord. In the case of F sharp minor, or F sharp minor 7, we have a 7 on top, and we have a 4 or 11 on the B string. It makes for a very nice, expensive sounding chord. So I'm taking something that is nothing special at all. I'm just playing an F sharp minor 7 arpeggio. But then I'm playing an open, I alternate between an open E string and open B string between each of these notes. Oops. So it gives a kind of weird Asian vibe, I think. Like it almost sounds like Chinese or Japanese music because it's all pentatonics. You know, all these notes. It's the same 5 freaking notes you learn on your first guitar lesson ever. So it's just a different way of arranging these notes, and again, sounding fancy by doing the same crap as everybody else. I'm also chicken picking, so picking and then using the ring finger for the E string, middle finger for the B string. Here we're going into the G chord again. My tune? In tune enough for the internet, right? Had I been at Guitar Center, I would be the best tuned guy in there. Anyways, I'm back in G. Now I want to do an ascending lick, and I thought this open string thing was cool, so why not stick to it? G is very grateful of a key to do open string things, because every string sounds good, like they're all within the scale. And, you know, it's all pretty usable. So what I'm doing is this. So this might be weird, I'm over a G, but I play A as the lowest note. Again, I like close intervals within a chord that are diatonics. It still sounds good even if it sounds dissonant. Magic in music. So I'm playing an A, F sharp, and then an open G string. And again, I'm chicken picking, so pick, pluck, pluck. And the intervals I'm getting is a 9 or 2, major 7, and then a root. I move this up to 7th fret. And this is actually the exact same intervals. I still have a 9, major 7, and a root, but because I'm moving up, like the order of the intervals change. So we have the same thing, but they sound different. Taking something easy, making it sound fancy. I like that. Shortcuts, that's my thing. And then I figured I really want to get the Lydian note in there, the sharp 4. So I'm playing the sharp 4, which would be the C sharp, open G string, then I'm playing an A on top, which is the 9. So I haven't changed the intervals that much. It's almost the exact same thing. And then I'm getting a little fast at the end. What I'm doing is the 12th fret on the D and G string, which would be the 5th, the major 3rd. And then I'm playing harmonic on the E string. And while holding that, or while that harmonic rings, I'm playing the D, which would be the 5th of the chord. So I'm basically just mapping out the G6 chord, you know, G with an E on top. And by playing the harmonic in this D, I get now one of these really close intervals. Anyways, the A happens, and since the A, if we consider this to be like a 3, 4, and 5 chord in the key D, or from the D scale rather, the A would be a dominant chord. The dominant chord means root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, and the dominant 7th. And this instantly puts me in country mode, because the country guys really likes this stuff. So I figured let's throw in some country bends and stuff. So here's what I came up with. Last one's a little tricky, and you'll see why in a second. Start with just regular bend. I'm bending the 5th up to a 6. And then we have the first country bend everybody learns. A lot of blues players will know this as well. Okay, so I'm sort of seeing an A arpeggio, or A7 arpeggio. So I'm just picking all the notes from there. So I'm playing around the chord very much. So instead of just like blasting away in the F sharp Phrygian scale, I tend to play over the chord more because I think it sounds a lot more musical and it's not so. I don't like listening to scales. I find the ear picks up on patterns really quickly, and if you start doing this, everybody knows what's going to happen after. So I try to avoid playing scales as much as I can. I use scales, of course. How else would you play? But I try to avoid, unless it's a shreddy part, you know, I try to avoid just playing scales up and down. Anyways, here's the lick. So I'm bending B up to C sharp, playing an E on top. Then I'm going to take the F sharp, bend it up to a G, which would be a major 6 up to a dominant 7. And I'm playing that A on top. Then I slide up to C sharp, which is major 3rd chord. And here I take the G with my pinky, and I bend that up the whole step and release it. So this is a classic like steel guitar lick. And what I like about that lick is like it starts by having the bent note being the lower note, and at the end the bent note is the higher note. So here's the whole lick. Have fun with that one, especially that last bend. I cannot do it with my ring finger. It's super hard. Pinky, much easier. Use your pinky. That in turn leads back into the G. So I guess that answers the question of the chord progression. And here comes my... I don't know who I stole this from. Probably every country guitar player ever. So thank you, Brent Mason, Brad Paisley, and Vince Gill. Albert Lee, you've been the guys for me. Then we go into my quasi fusion lick, which I stole from, I didn't really quite steal it, but I stole the idea from Frank Gambale, who I was fortunate enough to study under when I was a young strapping guitar player at the LA Music Academy back in 2006. That guy can play, oh my god. Anyways, what I've done here is we're over a G, so what I'm doing is I'm superimposing a bunch of arpeggios. Superimposing, by the way, is when you take, say if you take an E minor and play it over a C, it turns into a C major 7. So we say we superimpose an E minor over a C. So what I'm doing is I'm taking D major, and I know I'm replaying that one note there because it's much easier for my hand. Shortcuts, I like them. Here's what I'm doing. I start by landing on the D because it places this nicely over the G chord. This is just a major 9 arpeggio. So this is going to be D, F sharp, A, C sharp, and E. Then I do the, on the picking pattern here is up, down, 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 up, which is the easiest way to do it. And by far the most efficient way of doing it. Then I play the exact same figure starting on the A string. Now again, this is just a fancy way of playing a D major scale. So, taking the same notes, just rearranging them, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's a beautiful lick. Oh yeah, on the D string, pattern changes slightly, but it's still the same notes in the same scale. And that's the same thing. Sounds like I need to intonate my guitar. And then I slide that up to the B on the E string on the 19th fret. Here I'm back in F sharp minor 7. So I land on the, what would that be, the 4th. And here I want to go back into blues land a little bit, but not quite blues land, but sort of pentatonic land. There's a ton of cool stuff hiding in the pentatonics. If you can get away from just doing this. Nothing wrong with that, but you know, Clapton did that a billion years ago, so let's do something else. This is something I just thought up, which basically the lick would go. Sounds like you're in space, or you're a robot, or maybe it sounds like futurism in the 80s. Like in the 80s, what they envisioned what the future would sound like. It sounded very much like fourth intervals. You know, in the pentatonic scale. So again, most what I play is the same freaking 5 notes over and over and over again. I just get kind of good at finding new ways of playing. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a down up with my pick, pulling off, and this is a B to an F sharp. And then here's the weird thing. This is an awful lot of work to get the same 4 notes. What I'm doing is down on the B string on the 19th fret, so that's an F sharp. So I sweep pick between the B and the E, then upstroke, and then I do an downstroke and then do an upstroke. So we have down, down, up, up, and then a pull off to the C sharp and the B string. Awful lot of work to get the same 4 freaking notes. Had I been any smarter, I would have a real job, as I always say. Then I go back into just standard blues stuff. I think that's what I'm doing. That's about the most typical blues pick you will ever hear. I mean, if everybody else can play it, so can I, right? And then our Clapton lick. This is a really useful one. It's funny, if you play this, you sound like an idiot if you do this. I skip 1 note and I put a little slide in there, and all of a sudden it sounds like I know what I'm doing. It is a hair fine line between amateur and pro, I'm telling you. It's like, if you do this, you sound amazing. You do that, you sound like a moron. The more of these tricks you know, the better you're going to sound. And they will throw money at you, and all the women will come knocking at your door. I don't know why they would do that, but maybe they will. Hasn't happened to me yet, but you know, who cares? Here's the lick! Another bluesy thing is to like half playing notes, do like a little half bend. What happens after that? Awful lot of notes. Here comes my Jazzy lick. I'm gonna try not to play it really fast because I might make a fool out of myself. I managed to get it down on the recording of or on the solo, so. Here's more superimposing stuff, and this is another interesting thing. So I'm over an F sharp minor 7. What I'm doing is I'm playing a C sharp minor 7 arpeggio with a few chromatic notes in there. So I'm basically superimposing a C sharp minor over an F sharp minor. And here's one of those funny things. If I play a C sharp over a C sharp, I sound like any idiot at Guitar Center. If I play it over an F sharp, I sound like this jazzy fusion guy. I take the exact same stuff, I just move it somewhere else, I superimpose it as they call it, and then I sound like I know what I'm doing. Which of course I don't, it's just I happen to know where to place these notes. Anyways, the lick, again over F sharp, sounds really great over C sharp, which the lick is based in. Sounds dumb. I'm smart, I'm dumb, I'm smart. So I'm gonna hang with being smart for a second. So I pick on the way up, which is G sharp, A sharp, up to B. Then I pull off the same note. And this is just going down a C sharp minor arpeggio. And then I slide down to the A here, because it's a minor third F sharp, you know. So it's a good thing to land on chord tones, because they will always treat you nicely. It's kind of like going home to that cousin that will always serve you a nice meal, no matter when you show up at their door. So it's like getting baked scones and tea, because I assume you're British, whoever's watching. I have no clue what's going on. Then I have this. This is more Frank Gambale's stuff. Although he'd probably find a jazzier way of doing it. I'm basically just taking chords out of the scale. It's really, really good to learn this. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, flat 5. Those are the chords in the major scale. And when you get really good at that and you fully understand that, you start realizing that you can use any of the chords out of the major scale over any other chord in the major scale. So if I'm hanging over an F sharp minor, I'm playing an A major, C sharp minor, and then finally an F sharp minor 7 over an F sharp minor. And this works because they're all related. They come from the same parent scale, which is D major. So a very good thing to do. Check out the major scale and what's called a harmonized scale. Almost everything you need to know in theory happens right there. Or contact me, since I teach online. If you don't happen to be in the Santa Monica or in the LA area, preferably Santa Monica. Music theory is super easy, by the way. There's this idea that it's difficult, but it's not. There's a handful of concepts you need to understand, and once you do that, it's like, oh, okay, got it. Then, next lick. This one I stole from Mr. Guthrie Goldman. I told you I steal everything. I saw him do it, and I was like, what? That's cool, man. I want to be cool like Guthrie. So what I'm doing is, again, it's the same old shit. I'm playing an F sharp minor pentatonic scale, and I'm using 3 notes per string. Then I skip a string. Okay? It's easy as that. It's just F sharp minor pentatonics. Then I'm gonna tap the 21st fret, because it's a good fret for F sharp. Like all the notes on the 21st fret is in the F sharp minor scale. And the pentatonic scale on top of that. So I'm gonna hammer, 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 and then I tap the top notes. Not entirely easy, especially since I use not a whole lot of distortion, which you should also try. Play on the clean channel for once. It will serve you well. Once I'm here, I go back. Go back up. Okay, so the whole lick is this. Sounds super cool, especially fast. Pardon me, I banged my thumb into a door the other day, so pressing with it is a little bit strenuous. Imagine Guthrie playing that, it would sound amazing. And this just so happened to coincide with the G, so what I do when I hit that last note is I slide up. Slowly it would be this. Ah, shoot. That's also not too easy to do. That's why I took 90 billion takes on that solo. So, what happens is we land over G, and here's a really cool trick that I love to use. Again, if you remember from the beginning of this lesson, the G is sort of a Lydian sounding G. We can consider it to be a 4 chord from the D major scale. A really cool trick is playing pentatonics half a step below that chord, because you get all the cool notes. If I'm over G and I'm feeling Lydian, and I'm feeling Lydian today. that sounds like every 80s movie ever, doesn't it? It's a redneck 80s movie. Anyways, if I play a G chord, a Lydian G chord, and I play pentatonics half step below it, I get to major 7, cool notes, the 9, cool notes, major 3rd, we love major 3rds, sharp 4, awesome notes, major 6, cool notes, and then we're back to the major 7. So by playing F sharp minor pentatonics over G, we sound like we know what we're doing. But we don't. We're just taking the same stupid pentatonic scale that we've known our entire lives. I think it was programmed into our DNA. We take that same scale and we just superimpose it. So I superimpose pentatonics half step below the what's it called, the Lydian G chord, and now I sound like a genius guitar player. So how I imply all this, or apply all this rather, English, difficult language. I came up with a very Steve Vai-esque tapping thing, and it's literally this. In the left hand I have a 3-note per string pentatonic scale. And here's something I use a lot. Guitar is really hard for me to play. I find it to be a tricky instrument, so any shortcut I can take, I will take it. And I've noticed that everything repeats, right? So instead of learning a ton of different patterns for all the different modes and all different shapes, I will learn one pattern really well, and then I'll just utilize the fact that it will repeat. So in this case, and this I do with everything, whenever I'm playing fast stuff, like I have one pattern across 3 strings, and I can use that across all strings and across the whole neck. In this case, we have this. It's just F sharp minor pentatonic. And then, if I slide down 2 frets, we have the exact same thing. If I slide down 2 frets, we would have the exact same thing. So I can use one pattern, instead of learning all these patterns, I use one pattern across the whole neck. Then I will tap the 19th fret. My bad, sorry. Well, obviously it's my bad. You're not playing guitar, I'm playing guitar. No, wait. I'm on the 22nd fret. Pardon me. I forget what key I'm in. So I'm just going tap, going back up, tap. And then from here, holy crapola, I can just use the exact same shape. If I want to go down more, I don't, because I'm going to resolve this differently. But yeah, it's basically this. Piece of cake, right? One pattern keeps repeating, you don't have to learn a billion things. And then what I'm doing, I'm landing on this note, the G sharp, and I believe we're back over the F sharp at this point. Yeah, actually I think the F sharp happens right there. And if you remember, we're in F sharp Phrygian. That has a flat 9 or a flat 2 in it, but I'm the rebel that I am, ignoring this completely and playing a major 2 over it, which the ear, whether you understand this theoretically or not, makes it sound a tiny bit out. It doesn't sound like it's way out, but like that note sounded really jazzy all of a sudden. Why is that? Well, it's because your ear wants to hear a G, because we're very firmly within that tonal framework. But I'm playing a G sharp, which sounds real nice. Or the F sharp minor 7, it's just, it feels like we're in the wrong key all of a sudden. Little tricks that I use. So, tapping lick, and then the very last thing I'm playing, again, I'm considering this to be Dorian minor, much more than Phrygian minor, again, because I can. There's nothing in the chord itself that implies that it has to be Phrygian. It's a chord progression that implies that. So, if this was Dorian, the parent scale would be E major. So what I'm going to do, again to sound fancier than I am, I'm just going to take an E major arpeggio. Oh, and I'm using the oldest jazz trick in the world, which is half step below your arpeggio. If I just play an E major, I sound like an idiot. If I start half step below, I'm like, oh, sophisticated guy. Which I'm not, I just know the tricks. I'm also chicken picking this power, so pick, pluck, pluck, pluck. So I'm just playing an E major, where I start half step below. Then I go up the E major scale, and mind you, over F sharp. See if I can do this. Hear how fast that sounds? It's like, what? Easiest thing in the world. I'm just superimposing an E over an F sharp. Then I'm gonna use this, and this is a so-called drop 2 voicing, chord voicing. Anybody who plays any jazz will know this, like the back of the hand. There's something called the drop 2 voicings, which is very, very great, very good for playing chords on guitar. It sounds real nice. All the drop 2 voicings. Learn them. Look it up. Drop 2 voicings. You can thank me later. Extremely musical stuff. So what I will do is, like, I will play my E major, then I will use a little more quasi-chromatics, only because it sounds jazzy, because we get those notes. Jazz sort of happens outside of the diatonic notes. So I just connect it into a drop 2 voicing, that I then in turn connect into a F sharp minor 9 chord, which is this one. Superimposition chord, bar on 14. Put any finger on the 16th fret on the E string, and there you have it. So the whole last lick. Then do a little volume swell because it's cool. But yeah, that's it. I'm just taking a whole bunch of old tricks that I stole from other guitar players and I apply them in new ways. And out it comes, sounding like I'm original. So now you know my secret. Check it out.